ho, ho, ho. Merry Christmas.
So, hello, James. Thank you for being here today. Thanks for joining me on Eyes and Teeth.
So it's an absolute pleasure so far, but we've only just started.
And I say joining me on the show. I call it a show because all of our live stage performances are on hold at present. So it gives me that little time in the spotlight feeling, you know, during these times. So where was your last stage performance?
Oh, that was quite a while ago. My last stage, I did The Master Builder with Ray Fiennes at the Old Vic.
Wow.
And I think that was 3 years ago, 4 years ago, yeah.
Yeah, so that must have been lovely. I mean, the Old Vic is one of those beautiful, famous stages, isn't it, to work? And
yes, it was great. I never thought I'd end up working at the Old Vic. Never. I thought, you know, I'm far too politically incorrect for them. but it was actually a great experience, and I really enjoyed myself. And they're lovely people, and obviously it was great to work with the great actors that were in this play.
Incredible. What a memory. Oh, you were born in France?
No, my childhood in France.
Okay,
and in
right.
America, but I was actually born in Holloway.
Wow.
Next to the prison.
Okay, not in the prison, next to the prison. That's
Next to the prison.
Okay, wow. We need to differentiate between that. That's this Wikipedia thing is crazy.
It's just ridiculous because anyone with a grudge just sit there and type in anything they want. I mean, and no wonder nobody knows anything about anything anymore. It's because it's filled with people who don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah, I think my mum wrote mine, so I think it's kind of favourable, but there's things I never knew I'd done. Did you join drama classes or clubs when you were in your teens, or where did your acting...
Yeah, I mean, I think I discovered that I loved acting when I was 11.
Okay.
At prep school, when we did the 72 Masters, Midsummer Night's Dream and Oliver.
Wow.
And then when I went to Harrow, mercifully, there was a wonderful man there called Martin Tyrrell, and he was head of drama, and he, there were shows every single term, so they were actually extremely good. They sort of left me alone, really, just to get on with that.
Yeah, is that because they saw a good potential in your skills as an actor?
You'd have to ask them that.
Back then, okay.
It could just be that they didn't want me in the CCF and they didn't want me in sports.
Okay.
I mean, I made it very clear that was all that interested me. And in fact, I left Harrow a year early.
Okay.
Well, I was sort of helped on my way so I could go eventually to RADA.
So what age were you when you went to RADA?
I was quite young. I think I was 18 or 19.
That's incredible. And so you had a lot of groundwork really in RADA, and did that take you to your first few stage plays? Because I know you were around 25 years old when you started to become recognised for your work, and so...
I think so. I did a lot of theatre before getting any telly work.
Yes.
I think I was one of the last people in my year to end up doing a television show, and I was in love. My first job was Love Hurts with Adam Faith.
Okay,
and
yes.
I had to run up the stairs and say, "Your taxi's here," and then run down the stairs again.
And did the taxi turn up? It must have been a good
line.
line.
No idea. I left after that. I wasn't interested in the response.
It's nice to have that first, sort of television line that you could quote for, for your first. I mean, Adam Faith, bless him. He was.
I know.
Yeah, Love Hurts.
I was quite excited. He was, he was big news when I was young, so I was very excited to meet him.
Oh, wonderful. How did The Thin Blue Line for the BBC come about? Did Ben Elton discover you, or did you have to audition?
It was actually Ben Elton's wife, Sophie, who saw me in AbFab, and she suggested me to go up for the audition. So, I had to go to, 3 or 4 auditions, each getting smaller each time. But I believe it was, I owe it to Sophie Elton.
And so, absolutely fabulous. That you were in 2 episodes of that, is that right?
I was in 3, actually. No, I was in 2. Yes, 2. The wedding one and the pimp one.
Yes.
When Idris Elba was my prostitute.
Oh, wow.
If you can believe it. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Superstar.
So he'll be quoting his first line as being your pimp, I guess, back then.
I hope so.
Oh, contributional.
The Thin Blue Line, it guest stars so many comedy names with Kenneth MacDonald from Only Fools and Horses, Melvin Haynes, Alexandra Armstrong, Stephen Fry. There was Mark Addy, so many names in that season. Yeah. What was it like for you to be in that show?
Well, I mean, for a start, working with Ben Elton and Rowan Atkinson, who I, sort of grew up adoring,
of course,
and then to have all these heroes of mine turn up, I have to say it was one of the most joyful experiences of my life, and I was extremely lucky to get that. It's actually turned out to be a sort of curse and a blessing, because for many years people thought I was actually like Goody, and it was a very difficult thing to shed,
to break from. I see. I mean, the casting for that was fantastic. Mina Anwar and David Haig were just, and you. It was such the perfect.
David Haig stole the whole show from me.
it was just such a great casting, and for it to end at the second series, it's quite sad for a series to end when you're enjoying it so much. But
yes,
like 40 Towers, the young ones, 40 Towers, and obviously more recently, The Office, that they only stopped at 2 series. And so, do you think it was the right thing to do?
Well, I think it is actually in a funny sort of way, because things. I mean, there are exceptions to the rule, but
yes.
Things don't always immediately get better, do they?
No.
Sort of, they get worse.
It's like the second album syndrome, isn't it? And then for the risk of losing its magic, you think, right, I cannot do any more with this. And then I guess that's the producer's decision to take. Were you all in agreement with that when it came to it? Or?
What, with it ending?
Yes.
Oh, I don't think we had any say in the matter at all.
No.
When these things come to an end, it's decided and you're told, and you just go, okay, and move on. It's sort of the actor's life.
So when you played Kevin in the Thin Blue Line, is this where your character of the seemingly frightened character was born, or was there a hint of the comical ability in previous work?
Something to hear that he was described as camp and gay really shocked me, actually, because I wasn't thinking of it in those terms. I was thinking he's much more of an innocent.
Yes.
To me, I kept thinking of Frank Spencer.
Yeah.
And it was his innocence that I was trying to play up. It wasn't intended to be camp at all. But back in those days, camp equals being gay. So everyone thought that this that Kevin Goody was must have been gay because he was so camp. In fact, I got a lot of stick from the gay press, well, I still do.
Really?
Oh God, they're the worst to me. The worst, with some notable and not forgotten exceptions.
Yes,
they were pretty bloody to me. So,
that's awful to hear. It was such. Yeah. He is an iconic character. He seemed to be very frightened of everything. When he got told off, the way you reacted to everything. It is a vulnerability. It was a vulnerability, wasn't it? But it did make it funny. You played it so well. It was just. Funny is funny, isn't it, James? What worked.
But that's what I think, you see, and I think today it's comedy is such a dreadful mess because it doesn't matter whether funny is funny.
No,
it has to be correct.
Politically,
and
yes.
This whole thing about punching down, yes, we know that. It's been around for years, and people don't really punch down since the days of Bernard Manning anymore. But there's such a fear for causing offence because people think they'll be cancelled, or so we're in a very bad situation.
It's very tricky for writers, isn't it? Really, if you're writing a comedy, I mean, if Ben Elton was writing now, would he change what he was about to write? But does Ricky Gervais do that? Does Ricky change? I don't think Ricky does.
I believe Ricky Gervais is one of those people who he's one of my heroes, actually.
Yeah, mine too.
As a human being and as an artist, because he has an uncanny ability to lock in to the simple things about the human condition.
Yes.
And so Ricky makes all his... I have to say Ricky like I know him. I mean, I don't know him. I wish I knew him. I don't know him. But he writes all the issues of the days in his work. So you can find out what he really thinks about things if you watch his work closely.
Yes.
And he's not afraid to speak his mind. I mean, my God, you see some of the things he's written. but he can get away with it. He can get away with it.
He's one
of the very few.
Yeah, the way he describes his backup for the script he's written, or he's always got a good answer for why he delivered that line, or why he's doing a subject on cancer, and people that have had, been related to those storylines, they thank him for it because he's highlighting it. But
he's not afraid to tackle hypocrisy.
No, definitely.
And that's what I love about him. I mean, he'll say something controversial, and don't forget he plays a sort of character. Even when he's sort of being himself, he's still a sort of character.
Yes.
And he'll say it because then he'll twist it on its head and say, "Well, think about it like this."
It's clever, isn't it, with the twist?
It's very
really
clever.
Is.
It's very clever, but he's an extremely clever man.
Yes.
He continually astonishes me. I mean, I think the Christmas version of the Christmas edition of Extras and Afterlife, I mean, are works of genius. Simple, so simple.
Yes,
and yet so brilliant.
It's incredible what he's done. And saying what I said about 2 series, he's going with the 3rd series with Afterlife. But
yes,
I think it's because of the want of it around the show. But
everyone raved about it. I mean, every single person. I mean, he didn't put a foot wrong.
No.
The casting was brilliant. The writing was brilliant. The acting was brilliant. I mean, the one thing that oozes from him, by playing sort of sometimes idiots like, Andy Millman, or regular guys like Andy Millman, idiots like David Brent, it's the humanity that he brings to it, because he didn't give David Brent an awful ending. He sympathised with him.
Sure.
And this is where he's so clever. He surprises you.
Yeah, he does. I mean, you can be laughing and then you could be in tears of sadness. That's what good comedy does, isn't it? Eyes and teeth.
Yes,
But you've won an Olivier Award for Lady in the Dark at the National Theatre.
Yes, I did.
Congratulations on that. It's amazing. And the same year you were nominated for the Ian Charleston Award for Cassius in Julius Caesar.
People keep saying this nominated. No, I came second. People keep saying there is no second. I've got a certificate
Okay.
saying second, because Dominic West and another actor won it jointly that year.
Right.
And I came second, And I think that I was most proud of that, I think, in my life so far. Not only did I get that, but I got given it by Sir Paul Schofield.
Oh,
so
wow.
I felt like a bit of a fraud, surrounded by all these really good classical actors.
No, it's a double whammy.
But it was a wonderful, wonderful thing.
Yeah, my mum still thinks I won Britain's Got Talent, but I came 4th. But they don't let you forget.
Well, you don't have to win it to become,
I know.
People either love you or they don't.
Yeah, that's true. You're a winner in their eyes. But these roles that you won awards for, they seem to be quite serious roles. But was it easy for you to forget the comedy roles that you were playing on TV? Or did the mannerisms creep in? I mean, you're an actor, so obviously, this is just for my listeners. It was easy to forget.
Apart from Alexi Sale and Graham Linehan and Arthur Matthews,
oh yes,
who gave me serious parts in their shows, I think every comedy offer after that had the camp element. So it's very hard for me to get, it took me almost 15, 20 years to get offered a serious role on television.
Wow. So even the producers were thinking, this is you, this is James Dreyfus, the character, and we want to book that character.
Well, I'm not sure whether they do, because
no.
But they think the perception will be that.
Okay.
I mean, now I don't do any more camp roles, if I can possibly help it.
Sure.
I mean, okay, it creeps in sometimes just because of the character I've been given, but that high-octane comedy of Gimme 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 and things, that's not realistic comedy. That's over-the-top, high-octane...
Characterization, yes. So I always smile when I do see you appear on TV and in movies. And last night it was date night for Nina and I, my wife, and we put on Notting Hill, and we smile every time you come on in the bookshop. It's just such a wonderful movie. But
thank you.
You do bring a lovely, light-hearted moment to that, which is so sweet. When you said, I always wondered what Patrick Swayze was like in real life. My wife and I saw Patrick Swayze in Guys and Dolls about 10 years.
Yes.
Oh, he was incredible, but I imagine he's a lovely man. Did you ever meet him in the end? Or?
I mean, I didn't meet him, but I was doing cabaret round the corner from him.
Wow.
So I used to sort of see him in the streets.
Yeah.
But he wasn't very well at the time, and of course, he's since died. But so I didn't want to I just felt weird about going up to him, really.
Sure, you didn't want to fulfil that line.
No, I always get nervous around people that I admire, and I always seem to say the wrong thing.
Oh, bless. My wife and I did line up at the end because they said, you got a chance, he's going to come out and just so you could take photos. And we did hang about because it was who it was, and she's a big Dirty Dancing fan. And he came out and he spoke to the crowd lovingly. He just seemed to be genuine.
I've heard he's got a wonderful reputation. He had a wonderful reputation for being really, really lovely.
Yeah, we heard that.
He's got it all, lovely and incredibly handsome.
He did have it all. Good moves as well. Good dancer.
Yeah, very good moves.
Yeah. So from 99 into the millennium, Tom Farrell came about and you filmed 2 series with Kathy Burke. You worked so well together. It was
three series.
Was it 3 series? And that stopped, didn't it? Again, it seemed like you had a really good friendship building right before our eyes with Kathy.
Well, I'd worked with Kathy before on a theatre job, so we got to know each other extremely well.
Oh, great.
And I was always a huge Kathy Burke fan from everything I'd seen her in, from Scrubbers, her first film.
Right.
And I've always saw her and thought, God, that girl is so talented. And I got to know her on the stage, and I got to know her then through AbFab. And then Jonathan Harvey decided to put us together. And I've never, ever worked with someone who understands what I'm about to do as well as she does. And I have the same thing for her. Acting with her is effortless and so much fun. She's generous. She could steal every line if she wanted to. She's that good. Yeah. We had such an amazing time making that. I mean, it was, okay, we weren't behaved well all the time. We certainly weren't. Sorry, Jonathan. But we did have an enormous amount of fun doing it. Because we were doing it to make ourselves laugh. We weren't really interested in anyone else finding it very funny.
Yeah, but I guess you had an understanding with each other's professionalism on set. So if she wasn't going to steal your line, because she'd let you go for the punchline. It's
like it wasn't only that. It was just that I knew what she was about to do, and she knew what I was about to do.
Yes.
So she'd let it happen. There are some actors who, because they see someone else do something funny, they'll try and do something to distract from that moment.
Yes.
So they don't get the laugh. Now, Kathy understands, and as all the best comedians like French and Saunders, if you watch them together, it's like they just slide into each other because they know each other so well, and they know exactly what the other one's going to do naturally.
Definitely,
and,
yes.
You understand, only good people make you look better. They don't make you look worse.
Yeah, that's true. With the content of that script, it's so laugh out loud funny. There must have been so many outtakes, which sadly I can't find. But was there a lot of outtakes?
I don't know what they did with them. I mean, there must have been a lot, but I don't know where they are. But actually, more often than not, they keep in the bits where we're laughing. You can see us laughing openly.
Oh, really? Really? Oh, that's amazing. Was there a lot of scope for your ad libs, and did they keep them in? Did you ad lib?
No, I didn't ad lib. I mean, okay, Jonathan would say you didn't learn your lines properly, so you did ad lib.
Right.
He used to write in names of his friends every week, and I remember thinking, oh, these are complicated. Why can't I just say Peter and Paul? He says, because I'm trying to give a shout out to them. So things like that. I'm not very good at remembering my lines, but no, you didn't alter his script because it was, he did it. He used to do it during the week of rehearsals. He'd go home and alter it, and
okay.
So by the time we came to record it, no, we pretty much stuck to the script.
Ho, ho, ho,
I did get very excited when it was announced there was going to be a live stage show. I don't know when that was, 10 or 15 years ago. It never came to fruition.
Who announced that? I mean, we were bemused.
You never knew anything about it?
Well, I mean, we'd spoken about it privately,
right.
But I don't know who...
Probably Wikipedia.
Probably Wikipedia. Yes. There's probably a page on it.
Because you talked about it, would it have been a thing, or
we briefly talked about it? Right. But you see, the thing about it that you have to remember is it only became really popular after we got a bit of rough press for the first series,
right?
Especially from the gay press, and then it sort of grew. Its reputation grew. So perhaps if we did a live show now, it would sell out arenas. Yes. Whereas then, we weren't sure. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, sure. No, I totally understand. I mean, there's one line that stands out for me, and I think it's repeated on the internet, and it's when Kathy has sat there, and they talk about a ventriloquist. Is he a ventriloquist? And she, I don't know if you know the line, and then she says, I'd love him to stick his hand up my dress and make my lips move. And it's...
Yeah, I mean, you couldn't get away with it. You couldn't get away with that nowadays. The landlady coming in and going, "Methinks I have a cunning stunt," and if you look carefully at Kathy and I, you can see us laughing openly.
My wife and I are going to re-watch it this week. It is actually on YouTube. There's a lot of episodes on YouTube that you can watch.
Yeah, but I want it to be on Netflix.
Needs to be on BritBox, I think. We're waiting for BritBox to unleash it.
BritBox better get a move on.
I know, they do. We'll do a petition.
Do a petition. Yeah.
Ooh, confidentiality.
You flew out stateside to work with Bette Midler in an American sitcom called Betty.
I did.
And that must have been incredible. What a great memory working not only the States, but with Betty herself.
Well, yeah, I was playing her pianist, and it had Joanna Gleason in it. In the pilot, a very young Lindsay Lohan, who was 12, I think, Kevin Dunn, and yeah, it was great. I mean, it was a trouble show. It had its problems behind the scenes.
Right. Would you think that was the reason why it didn't go on any further, or which is a shame?
It was just getting ridiculous. There was fighting going on. She wasn't happy. I think she wanted to film it in New York, but it was a shame. But I tell you something. I got to meet Dolly Parton, Olivia Newton-John, all these heroes and heroines.
Wow. That's amazing.
And work with them and get to, work in the American system. And it was never my intention to stay and live there.
No.
But I rented a ridiculous house up in the hills with a pool, and I had the best almost 2 years of my life.
That's incredible. Did you actually play the piano?
No.
Oh, you didn't, but you was a pianist.
No, we had a pianist backstage who'd play, and I'd try and copy it. I never did it very well.
Miming your fingers. What a great memory. Now, my wife and I went to see Lee Evans and Nathan Lane in The Producers, and I was so delighted to see you in the programme. It made our night when you were playing Carmen Gia. It was hysterical. It's a lovely part. And the running gag of you leaving the room like a sloth when your arm was still showing after about 2 or 3 minutes.
Yeah. That was another. That was, I had a great time on that. I mean, it was disappointing to start with because they fired Richard Dreyfus, 4 days before we opened.
Oh, yes.
And so I was quite upset about that. Lee Evans is an absolute dream on stage. We were banned from looking at each other because we kept laughing. And then Nathan Lane came and sort of saved the day. Yeah, it was a good, fun show. All the crew and all the cast and everyone, backstage was fantastic.
It was just so, just that one part I talk about when you're leaving the room. Did you sometimes milk it? I know it was a milked part, but it was so fun. I had tears running down my eyes when I watched it.
You had to judge it really quite carefully because a second too long and it would be embarrassing. So you had to listen to what the laughs were doing. Sometimes it would be an instant laugh.
Okay.
Because it's a slow pull away. I had to judge, is this going to turn into a rolling laugh, where it gets bigger and bigger and bigger? And sometimes it did.
Okay.
But on a wet Wednesday afternoon, I had to be quite careful about how long. But it always seemed to work that moment. But I guess that's why they kept it in. So
Yes.
I must say, you should have seen what I was actually doing backstage whilst I
With
was
your
doing
other
it.
hand.
Yeah, I was just laughing with other people, and having a chat.
Oh, that's
But
brilliant.
No, that was an enjoyable show.
It was wonderful to see. Did Mel Brooks like you to add your own style to that role, or you
Yes,
just?
he said, love what you're doing with it. Keep doing what you're doing with it. It was great. I got to meet Anne Bancroft on,
Wow.
opening night, and it was so exciting. And I'll always be grateful to Mel Brooks and Susan Stroman for being involved in that.
Oh, it's incredible. I'm so glad we got to see you in that. It was fantastic. And you do voiceovers, James, as well. You've done a lot of ongoing workload for actors, really. And you did Willow the Wisp.
I did a reboot of Willow the Wisp.
Reboot.
Yeah,
I remember
did.
Kenneth
And
Williams.
I don't know what the bloody hell happened to that.
No.
I think it was internal politics, but I'm pretty furious about how we made 24 episodes. And I don't know who is behind them never being shown, but I think it was internal politics or something, but I was never told the truth. And it was a damn shame because they were great, and you can't find it for love nor money. So
Really, was it not
I don't
shown
think-
once? Because I'm sure I heard an episode of you, or maybe I just heard that it was coming out with your voice,
No,
but
24 episodes we did.
but it never went out.
Well, it went out somewhere.
Yeah.
I think there was a rights issue
Okay.
or something. So I had the DVD, but I don't know where it is, and I'm furious that I've lost it.
Oh.
Yeah, so that was a shame. Yeah.
Yeah, well, you do have a lot of talents, not just in your face, your acting skills, but your voice as well. So I guess the voiceovers is quite a good thing in lockdown. Did you do any voiceover work this year? Because that's something you can
I don't
do.
get as much as I should do, I think.
Yeah.
I came into voiceovers very late, and I'd love to do more. Thank God this year they've been a lifesaver because,
Yes.
you can actually do them. All hail to voiceovers, but I wish I'd do more.
Yeah, I thought that in lockdown. It's probably a God save, isn't it, for actors to actually have a good voice and different voices
Yeah.
that they could use. And
Yeah.
you put your voice to George Monday in My Hero for BBC as well. And
Well, no, I actually did the final series. It wasn't my voice, just my voice.
yeah, no, it was you. It was you. So that was a wonderful part, wasn't it? It was a great
Yeah,
sitcom.
it was. I don't think I should have. I don't think they should have done another series. I think they should have let it go after
Ardle.
Ardle left, because it was.
Right.
They did. This was the seventh season.
Okay.
And I wasn't convinced it was changed enough from what Ardle would have done to what I do, because I work very differently.
Yes, of
And
course.
so there was, I wasn't particularly happy with the script. I mean, the cast were just fantastic, and they were so supportive, and they are so brilliant. But for me, it was a very troubled, tricky job.
Oh, that's a shame. And I guess they just changed Sunday for Monday. I guess it was just your name that they changed, isn't it? So, to make it different. Oh,
I
bless
just
you.
wish it had been tailored more for me.
Yeah.
And being very different, but and I think I lost a lot of confidence after I did that, because I thought, oh no, that I don't really want to do a takeover ever again.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah.
Because it's a very hard thing to do, because Ardle Hanlon was so good in that role.
Yeah, you're completely different characters, though, aren't you? So the role should have been written around a brand new character, which is I see where that's going. Yeah. Yeah, and you bring your own to whatever you do. So, I mean, as the comedy characters you played in the past, they do work so well. Were you ever tempted to take those roles to a stand-up set at all, to try him out?
No. I need other people to react off. I could never do stand-up. I think they're incredibly brave, because you will die 1,000 times before you make someone laugh, and you've got to have an immense amount of confidence to be a stand-up. So no, I never thought about that.
Being a ventriloquist, I do hide behind the characters I have on the end of my arm, so I could never do stand-up myself, actually, but it's something I've shied away from. But yeah, you're right. It's an incredibly brave thing to do. You're an ambassador for the Barn Theatre in Cirencester,
Yes,
which is a
I am.
lovely thing. It's very recent, actually, 2017.
Yes. They do some great work up there. My father is from that area, so I guess that's where the connection was.
Yeah, it's a lovely area.
No, it wasn't actually. It was through a friend of mine. But they do some amazing stuff. And I'm thinking about them at the moment. Being sort of stuck like we all are.
Yeah. I mean, what do we hope for all the theatres nationwide at this time? Not just the big theatres we worry about, and I know they've got grants from the lottery, but for the small theatres and the local theatres, it's very important to savour them, isn't it, for local talent?
Yeah, it's devastating. I mean, it is just devastating. I don't know what people keep saying, "Oh God, move out the way, 2020. It's been an awful year." You ain't seen nothing yet. Next year is not going to be better. It's going to be worse because the knock-on effects.
It's a knock-on, of course.
So I don't know what's going to happen to theatre. Who knows? But it's very sad.
Yeah, well, fingers crossed. And television has started to come back, and you performed in Mount Pleasant for about 5 years.
Yes.
Was that a lovely role to be part of? I
had so much fun with that show. The people in it, the cast and crew, and everyone. I mean, I had a tremendous 5 years working, and I loved it. Yeah, it was one of my favourite jobs.
Yeah, it's nice when you're working on a television project, and everybody, you enjoy going into work because the makeup room, the casting, the people that serve your food at the canteen, you love everybody around you. It makes that role just enjoyable to be part of for so many years, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And we were lucky because there were no egos, there was no fighting, no one-upmanship. It was just a very, very happy job.
Fantastic. Yeah. Okay. Oh, bless you. Well, James, I really, really appreciate your time today. Thank you so much for giving me this interview.
You're most welcome.
It's been lovely.
But you're a very successful ventriloquist, is that right?
I'm doing well. Yeah, I'm doing well. Well, not this year, but I'm having fun with it. And I did write a play for one of my characters, and he's called Arthur Lager. He's an old man, and I wrote a piece of him being born at the top of the show, and then I take him through his life. So he's like a 7-year-old puppet, then he's 20, then he's 40 and 60, and then he's 82 years old. So I've got 5 different puppets, and it's one ventriloquist character's life in 1 hour. And so
that's a great idea. Are there clips of you on YouTube?
No, there are with other work, but this piece actually I took out the day before lockdown in Hastings. I'd done 2 nights there, and then we went to lockdown, and then I had to shut the show down. So it has, like, we don't know what's going on with the theatres. It's been rescheduled for next April. But I mean, I'll send you a link once I've got it up on screen.
Do. I would love you to do that. Yes, keep in touch and let me know what's going on.
Oh, bless you, I will do.
And best of luck for your new venture next year.
Thank you so much, and good luck to you getting back to the stage. Thank you for every laugh you've given us and your talent.
Your guinea pigs now.
And your dog. I hope he's okay.
We can swap if you like.
Thanks so much. Bye. Eyes and Teeth. James was a delight, and since this recording, I have seen that BBC iPlayer now show all 3 series of Gimme Gimme Gimme. And I have since bought the DVD of The Thin Blue Line to enjoy over and over again. James is also starring in Supernova, a drama/romance, alongside Colin Firth and Stanley Tucci, Sarah Woodward and more. And see more of his voiceover work on The Dark Crystal, Age of Resistance, a fantasy spin-off of the Jim Henson classic. If you check out James's work, you will see he's busier than ever, and I'm blessed to have had 30 minutes of his time. You can find James on Twitter at Dreyfus James. Thanks for listening to Eyes and Teeth, written, produced and hosted by Steve Hewlett, the ventriloquist. Vocals by Rich T, Larissa, Lola and Nina Hewlett. And additional thanks to Nina for her digital handiwork on the 12 days of podcasts. She works harder than I do. Thanks to Buzzsprout for hosting Eyes and Teeth. And for his wonderful jingles and theme music, Kevin Dean. Today's comedy quote comes from the great Rowan Atkinson. To be successful, you don't need beautiful face and heroic body. What you need is skillful mind and ability to perform. Please share and download this podcast, Eyes and Teeth, and enjoy the 100 episodes coming your way. Tune in next time when I reveal my third guest on Eyes and Tinsel, the Christmas season.
Eyes and teeth.
Ho, 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 ho! Merry Christmas!